What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a WrestleRant, where every single week I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. Ahead of Elimination Chamber coming up this Sunday, I'll be talking about the 2017 installment of the show here today on WrestleRant. So, overall, I thought it was a very good show. I think some people kind of overrated the show at the time. It was definitely one of the better SmackDown exclusive shows of 2017. Not nearly as good as Backlash from the prior year, No Mercy from 2016, TLC from 2016. All were exceptional events. This was easily the weakest SmackDown exclusive show up to this point, but overall, the main match is delivered, and it was a good show on the whole. So in the kickoff show, real quick, we had Mojo Rawley beating Kurt Hawkins. Nothing to see there. The opening match in this show, I think, made history in being the first WWE pay-per-view to feature 3 women's matches. With only women, no men involved, no mixed tag team matches, 3 women's matches, 3 singles women's matches, and they were all very good. The first one of the night was the opener to the show, Becky Lynch versus Mickie James. Mickie James had just returned to WWE at the onset of 2017, targeting Becky Lynch, giving Becky something to do in the meantime while she was out of the SmackDown Women's Championship picture. It was a good match. I thought they worked well together. Not a great match, probably not as great of a match as they probably could have produced, and is not as great of a match as people were probably expecting, but it was still a good outing. Mickie is obviously much more comfortable in the babyface role. I mean, as a heel, it worked for a little while, with her saying, I started the women's revolution, not you, Becky, blah, blah, blah. I understood that, but going beyond that, though, she worked a lot better as a babyface, and they just really didn't kick off her latest stint with the company in the best manner. She probably should have won here. I know Becky lost a lot on pay-per-view around this point to Alexa Bliss, but Mickie James needed the win more to be reestablished as a credible heel in the women's division, and in losing, didn't really, kick off her stint in the highest of notes, but it was still a good match nonetheless, and a good win for Becky Lynch. After that, we had Apollo Crews and Kalisto taking on Dolph Ziggler in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Total ass-backwards booking. It was every bit as abysmal as it sounds. So Ziggler attacked Kalisto before the bell. So it was largely Ziggler and Apollo Crews for a majority of the matchup. Kalisto came in at the end, tagged in, then he tagged in Crews, and they beat Ziggler. They won the match. Ziggler attacked him anyway. Ziggler was heavily favored here, despite being the heel. He had just turned heel a few weeks prior for this program with Crews and Kalisto. And I thought, okay, cool. Ziggler needs baby faces to work with to make this heel run work. He didn't really change anything about his attitude other than becoming more aggressive and attacking Crews and Kalisto in the same manner every single week. And he lost almost every single week. So it was hard to take him seriously. Crews and Ziggler, they worked well together, but by and large, nobody cared about this. This was one giant waste of time. Crews gained nothing from the victory, neither did Kalisto. Doing 2 baby faces against 1 heel in a handicap match scenario made absolutely no sense. This was stupid, and no one got over in the process. The baby faces won, but Ziggler attacked them afterward anyway. So who the hell got over here? Waste of time. After that, for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, it was a tag team turmoil match with American Alpha. Yeah, the Usos in there. Well, I mean, basically, this is how it got broken down. It started out with Breezango, Heath Slater, and Rhino. Slater and Rhino win. Then it was Slater and Rhino versus the Vaudevillains. Slater and Rhino win that one. They were over here. I mean, they were a couple months removed from losing the SmackDown Tag Team titles. But, they remain over with the audience, which was cool. But still, up to this point, pretty basic match. The Usos then beat Slater and Rhino. So it's the Usos, then American Alpha, the current champions. American Alpha beat the Usos. The Usos get pissed and attack the American Alpha afterward. And then it comes down to American Alpha and the Ascension. Now, the Ascension have always been a dead tag team. And I'm not talking about in terms of being, undead zombies or whatever. I'm talking about there is no hope for them left. But the way they booked this, I thought was well done. To make viewers think they had a shot of winning the tag team titles. And, capitalizing on an injured American Alpha. So I thought that was well done. They put heat on the Usos. Jimmy Uso looked huge here. I was looking back at pictures the other day of the Usos from only about a year ago, and Jimmy Uso looked huge. Not fat, but just really big for whatever reason. But anyway, so they got great heel heat here. You had to know American Alpha was winning, but you couldn't help but think that maybe there was a slight chance they would put the belts on the Ascension. You never know. So thankfully, American Alpha won. They look like the underdogs fighting from underneath. That was well done. Overall, though, not that exciting of a match. Pretty basic. A lot of these tag teams simply did not mean anything. Breezango at that point, no one gave a shit. Vaudevillains, no one gave a shit. The Ascension, no one gave a shit. Slater and Rhino were a jobber tag team. People liked them, but you knew they weren't going to win. The only real two teams that mattered was the Usos and the Ascension. That's what this match should have been from the get-go. They would go on to feud anyway over the SmackDown tag team titles on the road to WrestleMania, but not at WrestleMania. So a total waste of those two tag teams. Nonetheless, we had Natalya versus Nikki Bella up next in a good match. I actually enjoyed this feud a lot more than I thought I would. When you put Natalya and Nikki Bella in the same ring together, I saw them fight, I think at MSG, right after the feud started in December of 2016. I was bored out of my mind because the match was just not good. But in the month that followed, they really built this up. They really built this feud up to feel personal, to feel heated. And I thought they would kind of go outside the box, and they made it feel, really very personal between the two. With, they're attacking each other in interviews, verbally and physically, in the, where people walk around the arena. Not like in the ring itself, but they would go up the ramp or up the fucking aisleway and attack each other in the hallways of the arenas. They got creative with this feud, which is what I liked about it. And better yet, it wasn't over the Women's Championship. It was a feud that meant something, that had nothing at stake. What a concept. But I thought they put together a decent little match here. In the end, it was a double countout, which was kind of a lame non-finish. But it did set up their Falls Count Anywhere match on SmackDown a few weeks after the fact. And if you caught it too, so the match ended in a double countout. We get back to these two, I think after Orton and Harper. And then you see them brawling backstage. That was when we see Natalya push Nikki and Maurice backstage. And she gets makeup or powder all over herself. So that was kind of planting the seeds subtly for that Nikki Bella Maurice John Cena Miz feud at WrestleMania that had been rumored for a while. It would ultimately, transpire on the grandest stage of them all. And easily the three best match of the night started after that, with Randy Orton versus Luke Harper up first. The dissolution of the Wyatt family pretty well established. Orton and Harper had always been, always had that bad blood between them, even when Orton had proven that Wyatt could trust him. Luke Harper became the outsider looking in the Wyatt family, became a breakout babyface for a little while, and this was a great standout single showing from him. He didn't have to win the match. He shouldn't have won the match. Orton was Mr. Royal Rumble winner after all, unless they were going to put Harper in the three-way at WrestleMania, which they didn't, but they should have, because Orton and Wyatt one-on-one sucked. This match was way better. This is what we should have gotten at WrestleMania. Harper looked great here. Orton looked great here. Early on, it was a little slow, but the crowd got into it. The near falls were great. Harper looked very credible in defeat, and Harper went for his patented clothesline. Orton blocked it, RKO out of nowhere, and he won the match. So again, very well done stuff. Whether the match was excellent and merely a small taste of what Harper is capable of. People sleep on Harper all the time. There's a lot of people that know how good Harper is. It seems like the company is the only people that do not know how good Harper is, or just don't care, because otherwise they would have pushed him by now on his own, but they haven't. Anyway, for the SmackDown Women's Championship, we had Alexa Bliss defending against Naomi, in what was actually a pretty good match. They got about 8 minutes. They made the most. They made the most of it. I didn't think the match would be too good, but in the end, they worked well together. Naomi, probably her best match up to this point. And I thought, they had some good near falls and a lot of good reversals. Something just clicked here. And, putting them in the death spot right before the main event and coming off that Orton-Harper match, they were doomed to fail. But really, the crowd got into this too. They were very happy to see Naomi win. She hit her finisher, won the belt. They probably should have saved that for WrestleMania. But they did have Naomi win the belt back at WrestleMania after having to vacate it on SmackDown. So ultimately, it did work out for the best. But this was a very good match. And one of Alexa Bliss's better matches as well. Probably even better than any match she had with Becky Lynch during the course of their lengthy feud in late 2016. This was very, very good stuff. So a great moment for Naomi winning her first ever piece of WWE Gold as a single star. I mean, just period, really. Her first title win of any kind in WWE, not counting FCW. So great stuff there with the right, I wouldn't say the right outcome, but it was a pleasantly surprising outcome nonetheless. And then we get the main event, the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. The winner of this match goes on to WrestleMania to defend against Randy Orton, the Royal Rumble winner. I don't want to go so far as to say it was the best chamber match I've ever seen, but it's got to rank high up there. I feel like a lot of chamber matches we get in recent years, I mean, before this, I had not seen a great chamber match. I don't think they did one in 2016. They did two in 2015, and they were fucking terrible. Both of them were absolutely awful. The one they did in 2014, that Orton one, was really good from what I can recall, but I thought this one told a lot of different stories. Everyone looked good coming out of this. You had Cena and Styles kicking off. Like, you can't get much better than that. So they had a great opening here with Cena and Styles. A kind of a rematch from No Mercy when Ambrose entered the fold to number 3. He was Intercontinental Champion at the time, so you knew he wasn't going to win, but he looked good here too. And I also should mention before I go any further, this was the new Elimination Chamber, the debut of the all-new Elimination Chamber. That's a lot safer. It's got like the blue pods in it. I don't know, I liked it. It was a polarizing response from fans, like, oh, I hate it, it's too safe, looks pussified, blah, blah, blah. It looked cool, and it also allowed for more spots, too. And it still looked like it hurt like a bitch. So, overall, I thought it was a great addition, and I'm glad they had, I mean, they kind of had to make the changes, because the other chamber would not work in certain arenas or some shit like that. It's more, not pod-shaped, but like a square. But I thought it was still cool nonetheless. So anyway, so it comes down to Cena, Styles, and Ambrose. The first 3 are in. They're not comes down to, but they're the first 3 in there. Then I think Corbin was number 4. I'm pretty sure. No, he came in at number 5. Bray Wyatt was number 4. So Bray Wyatt comes in. He has a good showing. He takes everyone out. Not eliminates everyone, but he takes everyone out. Then comes in Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin looked great here. He attacked everybody and just laying everyone out with End of Days. John Cena. He laid AJ Styles out with End of Days. I think Baron Corbin or Bray Wyatt as well. Baron Corbin was fucking tearing it up in this match. And then the Miz's pot opens. The Miz coming in number 6. And Miz is like, oh shit, I'm fucked. But before Corbin could get his hands on Miz, Dean Ambrose rolls up Baron Corbin and eliminates Baron Corbin. So it's like, holy shit, he's gone. Baron Corbin, not too pleased with this at all, lays out Ambrose, just goes berserk, and proceeds to hit him with an End of Days as well, allowing Miz to pin Ambrose and force Ambrose to get eliminated. So it comes down to Miz, Cena, Ambrose, and Corbin. Miz is the next one gone from John Cena by way of an attitude adjustment. Once again, planting those seeds for the WrestleMania match with Cena and Miz. And also, obviously you already know this, but Corbin and Ambrose would also go on to WrestleMania to face off for the Intercontinental Championship. So, seeds planted for that matchup at WrestleMania as well. So it comes down to Cena, Styles, and Wyatt. This is really when they took it up a notch. All 3 guys just going back and forth. It's just great stuff. Bray Wyatt, out of nowhere, takes out Cena with a Sister Abigail. And Cena goes down 1, 2, 3. I was shocked. I thought it would come down to Bray Wyatt and Cena, but no. Came down to Wyatt and Styles instead. 2 heels, but the crowd was going to be happy with whoever won here. But yeah, Cena doing the clean job for Bray Wyatt. 3 years too late, but he did the job for Wyatt nonetheless. AJ and Wyatt have a great mini-match to close this thing out. Reversing each other's finishers and blocking it and hitting it and kicking out. This was awesome. So in the end, AJ going for the phenomenal forearm. Wyatt blocks it, catches him, and his Sister Abigail for the victory. The crowd goes nuts. And it would have been cool to see AJ win the belt back, but Wyatt winning his first ever WWE Championship was a great moment. The crowd exploded. It obviously meant a lot to Bray Wyatt, you could tell, based off his victory celebration. And then soon after, Randy Orton emerged, stood at the stage, with the commentators teasing that it would be Orton and Wyatt at WrestleMania. The build from that point forward was completely nonsensical. Orton said, oh, I'm going to forfeit my title match. And then like 2 weeks after that said, oh, I want my title match back. And then AJ would get a shot of the belt, and Luke Harper was supposed to be involved. None of that made any sense at all. But As a match, though, not, taking into account the aftermath, as a match, this was exceptional and one of the best matches I saw all year in WWE between NXT and the main roster. This was awesome. So again, I don't know if it's the greatest chamber match I've ever seen, but it's got to be up there. If it's not number 1, it's got to be top 5, if not top 3. Like, it's hard to name a lot better chamber matches, and it's hard to do wrong by a chamber match. Like I mentioned, the 2 in 2015 were terrible. But every other chamber match, even if I didn't like the outcome or, some of the action was just forgettable, by and large, they're very entertaining. And this one was no exception. This was awesome. So overall, though, I would say a good to pretty good show. I thought that the last 3 matches saved this from being abysmal. Because the undercard was not really all that good at all. Lynch and Mickie James was well wrestled and solid, but they could have done better. The handicap match was just a complete waste of time. The tag team title match, a complete waste of time as well. So then they really kind of picked it up with Natalya and Nikki in a good match, better than expected. And then Orton Harper, Naomi Bliss, and the Elimination Chamber especially were all excellent matches and saved this from being a mediocre show. So I would definitely suggest checking it out, if only for that main event, but probably the latter half of the card, if nothing else, as one of the better SmackDown exclusive pay-per-views the company has ever done since the return of the brand split 2 years ago. So definitely watch this show back before Elimination Chamber this Sunday. If this show coming up this weekend will come anywhere close to this one, I'll give it a thumbs up. Although this one is going to be Raw on Sunday, not SmackDown. So that might be for the better, though, because Elimination Chamber last year was by SmackDown when they were at their peak. Now SmackDown is just abysmal, and they have Fastlane, which I'm sure is going to be terrible. But unfortunately, that does remind me in 2 weeks, I do have to watch back Fastlane to review for WrestleRant in like 2 or 3 weeks. So not too excited for that, but it will be coming up nonetheless sooner rather than later. I think next week here on the show, I will be reviewing another TNA pay-per-view I think from 2005. So stay tuned for that right here next week on WrestleRant. In the meantime, and in between time, though, you guys can check out my other videos here on the channel. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, drop a comment, share the video. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. And we'll be back next Tuesday with another all-new installment of WrestleRant. So till then, guys, have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Elimination Chamber on Sunday. I'm Graham Giuseppe Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.